Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. So excited to bring back onto the show today, Bo POLNY, one of our favorite guests, returning guest. I know so many of you know him already, but Bo has been featured on CNBC. He's a frequent speaker at many gatherings. In fact, he's going to be speaking this weekend at a Patriot event. And we are always so happy to have his time and have him on our show. So Bo, I want to say welcome back on the show, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Noah. No, it's my pleasure to be here with you, and I love to talk and try to educate as many people as possible to get them to see clearly.
Yeah, well, this is a really key time point where you're going to see why in just a little bit. We'll jump into some of Bo's maps and timelines. There's a lot in here. I'm going to, in just a little bit, I'll share the screen and walk you through his PDF presentation, which is huge. In fact, it's so big, it says wait a few minutes for it to download. And I've got fast internet here, and it took a while to download. So this thing is beautiful. It's like 150 pages. We're not going to hit all of it today, but we're going to hit a lot of the high points. And we're really at a key moment here. And that's why we wanted to have Bo back on the show today, because there are some big dates that we just came out of, and there's some big dates we're heading into for politics, for the world, for world wars, for world leaders, for crypto, for silver. So we're going to talk about all of that. And Bo, in fact, before I kind of turn it over to you, I want to read a few comments here. I asked in our Telegram group today, I said, and this is about 30 minutes ago, I said, Bo POLNY's coming back on the show today. What do you want me to ask him? And we got so many comments. I just want to read a few because we're going to cover almost all this stuff today. So if you left a comment, you might hear yours read right here. Jay says he wants to hear more information about the biblical Jubilee. Darla wants to know what year Trump returns as president. Jay also asks about Trump returning as president. We have Marilyn wants to talk about how high gold and silver can really go and when they're going to start moving. I know that's on your list to talk about today. Jason says he saw you on Clay Clark. Such a great video. He wants to hear more about the first strike you talked about with Amanda Grace. I think we're going to cover that today too. We've got Alton wants to talk about when Bitcoin moves. We've got, let's see here, a few others. Monique, I hope I'm saying that right, wants to know where you see Zelensky and Klaus Schwab fitting into some of the world events. We might hit some of that. A couple questions about, this is Emily here, Passover and Easter coming up. What do those dates mean? Do they play into a Jubilee? And then we have another on silver, another on crypto, and another on Trump. So, Bo, I think we can cover most of that today. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it's a good punch list.
Well, I just wanted to show you how much people enjoy having you on, and they really look forward to these, as I do, and I just get to be lucky enough to sometimes get to ask the questions. So, well, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's do this 1 second. We're going to put Bo's presentation up on the screen. There we go. Looks absolutely fantastic. The link to this, wherever you're watching this, is going to be down below. As always, this presentation is free. Bo's time is free. His slides are free. So I really want you to take advantage of that. I'll put the link down there. It literally does take about 3 minutes to download everything. You might think your computer's frozen, but then you'll get this beautiful slideshow. So Bo, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. We've got a lot. We're not going to hit every page on the 133 pages, but I'm going to let you navigate us. You've got a lot of new stuff in here. You were on with us maybe 4 weeks ago, and a lot has happened since then. So tell me where you want to start.
Sure, no problem. The essence of we are stepping into a new era, a new everything. This is going to be an incredible year. In a nutshell, you know how when you read the Bible, you read about Exodus, you read about the Red Sea parting. This is going to be one of those moments in time where we're going to see something so truly historic happen in our world that this will be written about in the Bible. You know, this will be added to the Bible. This is going to be so and truly incredible. of how and what God's about to do. We've covered so many stories, Noah, in the Bible that we've talked about, and every one of them always layer in directly to when the movement of God occurs, when the hand of God appears, when God steps forward, when God acts. It's no more than 24 hours. It's no more than a day. Sometimes it's hours. It's a very short window of time. And everything that you believe to be true, everything that you and I believe to be true or are seeing in the world and others believe to be true, literally flips upside down and goes 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So that's really what the essence of what's happening. The globalists that run our world right now, remember, these people all they've sworn an oath. They all have, it's a private club. They've sworn an oath to all these different leaders. But it's a pyramid, and at the very top of the pyramid, top of the food chain, in essence, they're all answering to Satan. Okay, so he's a fallen angel. This story goes back 2,000 years to the time of Adam and Eve and creation and the apple. Okay, so this is how long this has been going on. We're at the 6,000 year mark since this all went down. So another decade or so, and the 6,000 years is complete. And and it's truly wild what we're watching happen. So the globalists that are trying to run this world are trying to push forward what is called a great reset. Klaus Schwab has been very vocal about what his sick plans and agenda is, but these people all are pushing for what is called a great reset. And remember, these people are all in bed together. They all have the secret handshakes. They're all they're all working together as one. So as big as this empire and this plan is, ultimately what happens is when the first domino goes down, it's a biggie, okay? But that first domino is just gonna, you've seen those rooms where they just layer thousands and thousands of dominoes, right? That's what this is, right? This is an incredible array of dominoes across the entire globe. And when that first domino goes down, it's just going to take them all down. And that first domino is going to relate. And again, that domino is not going to go down. This is critical, okay? That first domino is not going to go down until the hand of God makes it go down. That is the critical part of understanding why this is taking so long. But when God shows up, when the glory shows up, and that first domino goes down, it's game over. This is just visualize the whole room of dominoes just going down one after another. That is how this is going to play out. And that doesn't take long. It takes, how long does it take to make a domino full of rooms only to have it go down in less than a minute? Okay. That's the point of what has been going on in this world. And so we're waiting, but the time clock hasn't changed that we've talked about. So, the great awakenings they're pushing, the great reset is what they're pushing. When God steps in, there will be no great reset. It'll be the great awakening.
Yeah. Awesome.
That is the essence. Go ahead.
You make these amazing graphics. You've got the line going through reset, and it's the great awakening that we're all expecting and living through. And I want to say one thing really quick, just so Bo doesn't get a ton of comments down below. I love that Bo always brings it back to the Bible, and he said we're going to be living in times that are going to be written about like the Bible. Bo's not saying he's adding books to the Bible. Don't comment about that. But what I love about Bo is, so many people, you think, God was just active during the Bible times and he's fallen asleep since then, or he's not doing anything. No, we are living through times that equal those that you read about, and it's an amazing time to be alive. So is that a fair statement, Bo?
Yes, that's exactly the point. We're living in biblical times. Biblical times are times that are historic, and biblical means that God's intervening or has intervened. So, like when the Red Sea parted, that happened because God intervened. Okay, when the earth broke open and Noah built the ark, and then the earth flooded, that's because God intervened. Okay, we're at a point in time in 2022 where God is going to intervene. And when God intervenes, people take out their pens and they write. And and that goes in the history books. Okay. And
Perfect.
so let me tell you, this 2022 is going to go down in the history books, and it's going to be fat, and it's going to be thick of things that happened this year that were biblical, that were historic.
Perfect. That's exactly right.
The news media is going to report there must be a God. This is Satan's news channels. All these news channels that are paid for by them, okay, are going to report. Nothing like this has ever happened before. This is unprecedented. This must be an act of God. These are the words that will be spoken within the next 60 days, I believe.
I love that.
This is what is coming.
And these interviews are going down in history as well too, Bo. You've been telling us for over a year now to watch for this stuff, and I know we're going to get into it more here in a little bit, but even things that we used to talk about a year ago, like you used to come on this show even just a year ago, and you would talk about the fall of the dollar, the fall of the U.S. dollar, how the U.S. dollar would no longer be the standard worldwide. And when you first started talking about that, nobody was talking about that. That was kind of crazy talk. It was almost conspiracy theory type of talk. That could never happen. And only 1 year later, it's on mainstream news that oil is being repriced in things other than the dollar. Russia has been taken off of the SWIFT system. They are now looking to sell and buy oil, maybe in gold, maybe in some other currencies. So the stuff that you've been telling us, and these interviews are recorded and they live online, and you've been ahead of the curve. And one day soon, and perhaps in the next 60 days, that 24-hour period is coming, and it's going to change everything. And so I credit to everybody who's been here listening and waiting and watching. And we've got a big window here coming up. So let's keep it rolling, Bo. I could just get excited talking about that all day, but I'll let you. By the way, up on the screen here, there's a QR code, that white box. If you don't see the link down below this video, just take your phone out, aim it at that QR code. It's going to give you the link to download these slides. So we want to make sure you find those. So it's right on the screen there. You don't have to have a special app. You take your camera app from your phone, you aim it at that, and it's going to give you a link. So go ahead and do that. And all right, well, Bo, just go ahead and take us to the next slide, because we're in, I think you call it the final trimester, and maybe you can tell us what that means and why it's crunch time.
Sure, just start scrolling through the slide. So we're at a very, very incredible time point here. It's going to get into the next slide. The window between May 14th and June 6th is supposed to be very, very historic. The Great Exodus is what we're about to experience here. The Great Exodus time point comes in at the end of April. It's a cycle, that which has been will be again. So that's Ecclesiastes. So the Pharaoh Moses issue, that was a Exodus. This is expected to be the great one. Isaiah 61 talks about the year of the Lord's favor, the day of his vengeance. So that is what we're waiting for. We are waiting, literally, we are waiting for that one moment in time, that one day the world will never forget. The one moment in time that will go down in history as the day that God moved and everything changed. That date is a secret. The events of that date are a secret. For one specific reason, those two events are a secret. Why? Because the event must remain a secret and the date must remain a secret, because God can therefore act, and Satan will have no counter to prevent what God just did. So that is why God has to keep certain things, specific dates or events, a secret. But the point being is all of this is premised on the fall of Babylon. Babylon is the financial system, or it was built by the financial system of the world and is perpetuated all around the world right now. Babylon, Babylon the Great. It's the harlot. So if you scroll to the next page, this will give
before we leave this one, Bo, that you've got the Statue of Liberty up there. And I don't want to say the wrong name, because I forget who it was. It might have been a couple people, but there are a couple prophetic voices out there that have been talking about something happening to the Statue of Liberty. And people think it's this wonderful symbol of freedom and liberty. And on one level it is, but you've got some stuff up here. It really has a much darker history, and it's always these symbols of the elites and their symbolism. Can we pause for a second and because I get this question all the time about the Statue of Liberty. Can you explain to people what the history is here? Because a lot of the prophets are saying it's going to fall, and that might actually be a good sign. Walk us through why that is.
Okay, so this is very important, okay, because as you look outside right now and everything you're seeing in the media, all the, the news they're trying to portray out there, understand as much as they're pushing out there and saying right now, get a pen down and write this down. It's going to get worse. Write that down. It's going to get worse. Comma, God wins. Okay, you have to understand what's about to come. I don't know the precise events. No one does all of the events. Yes, some of the prophets have spoken. I do know that things that have been built from Washington, D.C. to the Statue of Liberty, all these things that are even further around the world, okay, there's so many things that are hidden. When Babylon, it states Revelation 18, Babylon the Great has fallen. When Babylon falls, that means everything they built gets destroyed, which would include, Washington, I would assume, the Statue of Liberty, I would assume. Okay, the Statue of Liberty, when you do the research, there's a couple links there. You can click the links. Okay, I just did the research and I include the links here. Basically, the Statue of Liberty, it was originally a Muslim woman. Early models of the statue were called Egypt Carrying the Light to Asia. Okay, well, let's interpret that the present day. So the present day Egyptians are all the guys running Washington, present day Egyptians. Okay, just the pharaohs and everybody in charge. Because, they think they're powerful, right? So present day Egyptians carrying the light to China. Tell me that doesn't make sense. Isn't that incredible?
Right. Yeah.
It's truly incredible. And then below that I talk about the great harlot, with whom the kings of the earth have committed sexual immorality and have become drunk. And on her forehead was written the name Babylon the Great, mother of prostitutes and of earth's abominations. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs. Revelation 17. Tell me that doesn't make sense for what's going on in the world right now.
Right.
Okay, so there's just scriptural references, because don't listen to me. I'm putting the pieces together and I'm giving you biblical references. And then when you put the pieces together, it fits very nicely, because what is Revelation? Revelation is it's a portrait that's coming to life. We're getting revealed what God's plan is. And so as the years progress, we get more pieces of what Revelation is. And right now, I'm describing to you where we're at and what's happening. If you go to the next slide, this is the harlot. Okay, the harlot sitting on the beast. This is really important to understand how this is playing out. I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw is about, not yet, but is about to rise from the bottomless pit. But it's not yet, okay? And go to destruction. This calls for a mind of wisdom. So let me explain what this is saying. The 7 heads are 7 mountains or hills, which the woman sits on. So the woman is controlling, the harlot is controlling the world through the 7 hills. Well, what are the 7 hills? The church, the family, the financial system, the education system, the government, the entertainment, and the media. So the harlot runs the world by controlling the hills. Lance Wallnau does a very good job, and you can click the link there where he explains it even in more detail in terms of what the hills are. Okay. Right. Point being is the heads, the 7 heads are the 7 mountains. The 10 horns are the 10 kings. The 10 kings are of who are yet to receive their power. They don't have their power yet. So anybody thinking that we're, just a doorstep away from World War III, you're getting it wrong. You don't understand God's timing. Okay, this is where it's important to understand His timing. And then the next part is, and then the 10 horns, they and the beast will hate the harlot. They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put into their hearts to carry out his purpose. So these people of the world right now are going to go against the dollar. You'll find out it will end up being the BRICS nations, particularly Russia and China, are going to come together to take down Babylon, specifically the financial system. When the financial system gets taken down, Babylon falls. God's going to also be playing into this, because God's going to be taking down the statue. He's going to, when God, so they're going to do the financial side. God's going to intervene, and I'm sure, we'll see earthquakes, volcanoes, meteors probably. So who knows what's coming? But it's going to be all of those things all at once. So it's not that it's funny, but it's like, as much as it's what's going on in the world right now, we haven't seen anything yet, Noah. We haven't seen anything from what's about to happen. So the point is, when these things come to be, please get on your knees and pray. Thank God for saving America. And I say America, that's true, because we have a covenant with, the United States has a covenant with God. But when the America gets saved, guess who immediately afterwards gets saved? Israel. Okay. Guess who immediately gets put into place? Now to the question, when does the trumpet come back? Okay. Well, he doesn't come back until the hand of God takes everything down. Okay. This is so important to understand. You're not going to have 45 Trump return until you have the fall, the great fall, the historic fall. And then Trump will return to rebuild what God destroyed. But now Trump is not going to rebuild Babylon. He's going to rebuild a new financial system. It's the birth of the new era. So Trump will end up being the last president and the first president. And then Mr. 46 ends up going, like, he just, because if you read, there's a Supreme Court ruling, fraud vitiates everything. Okay. So he will become non-existent. 46.
Correct. Right.
Everything he's done, every piece of paper his pen has touched will be null and void. So Trump will end up being the last president of the old era and the first president of the new, with 46 being a non-issue. Wow.
Bo, it can be confusing for people who don't study this every day like you do. And when I hear you saying the dollar is going to crash and the dollar is going to go away. Well, we live in America and it's our dollar. So walk us through the dollar. The dollar's had some problems, right? And where's the silver lining in the dollar crashing for people that live in America? Explain that again, because I don't want people to be in fear or to be wondering what's going to happen.
So the silver lining specifically would be, you have to think about Babylon has built this empire around the world to control humanity. Better word would be to enslave humanity. So humanity right now is enslaved with credit card debts, student loans, mortgage debts. It just goes on and on. The entire globe goes to work every single day just to pay back Babylon. So we are working for a financial system that's based on a fraud. It's not backed by gold or silver, not backed by God's money. So it's the whole financial system that we believe to be a real system is actually one big, huge worldwide lie. And so the silver lining to all of this is, silver is a silver bullet. It's a silver lining. It's the bank killer. Okay, so silver and gold are God's money. So those that have prepared and are holding God's money, when God intervenes, you're going to see historic biblical movements of God's money. Basically, what you're going to have is a restoration to an honest financial system. That's the silver lining. It's a return to an honest financial system. That's critical to understand, because the system that's used right now is literally used to buy up anybody and everybody, and they can create the money to infinity. So they're buying up anybody, everybody to control everything. So that's what's going on. Okay. When you have a money system based on a truth, right? You can't make it out of thin air. You have to mine it. You have this, whether it's crypto you're mining or whether it's gold and silver you're mining, you still have to work to get it, but you can't create it out of thin air to make as much of it as you want to control people. So when they lose the ability, when the dollar loses its value as a world reserve currency, the people that are being paid off right now are not going to want it anymore. They're going to want the real stuff, the gold, the silver, the cryptos, right? They're going to want the real stuff. And the ones that are and then the ones that have been paying them and the fiat money are going to have a heck of a problem because they've been paying them to be quiet. But what happens when they don't want the money anymore? They start to talk. What are they going to speak? They're going to speak the truth. And then what does the Bible say about the truth? The truth will set you free. It will set the truth will set the world free. So that is why it's so important to understand, to have an honest financial system. And those that are hearing this need to prepare for this, need to prepare. We've talked about this for how long, right? People have insurance policies for their car. People have insurance policies for their home. People have insurance policies for their health. Do you have an insurance policy for your finances? Well, the way you buy insurance for your finances is you hold gold and silver. That's your insurance policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. You've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. And I don't know that I've heard it explained that way before. So I hope that really made sense to a lot of people. And I don't want to go too deep on this either, but when you talk about an honest system, I think what you're talking about, and we can just hit this really quick and then move on because I don't want to get stuck here, but our entire world, our economic system is owned and controlled by the Federal Reserves and the Federal Reserve banks in the countries all across the world. And what people probably don't know is they create the money, they print it out of nothing, they print as much of it as they want, and then they loan it to us at interest. So every dollar that's created is loaned first to the banks at interest, and you can never get out of that system. From the minute those dollars are printed, they're losing their value because they're being inflated by interest. So the Federal Reserve Bank is one of the biggest enemies and truest enemies that we have here. And I don't want to get stuck here, Bo, but is that something you agree with?
Well, they're not federal, and they're not a reserve bank. They're a private entity. Okay. Go read A Creature from Jekyll Island, right? It's very well documented. You can go do their own research on it. It's not a federal. It's owned by private families own it. There's a handful of private families, including specifically one of the key ones would be the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Okay, all these people can, and what did Rockefeller state? Allow me to create the money. I don't know the exact quote, but he who prints the money, or allow me to create the money, and I care not who writes the laws.
Yes, that's right.
Tell me that's not going on right now.
Well, there you go. That's it. That's why the system's not honest. And they give it these names to make it sound like it's a government entity. The Federal Reserve is not a government entity. And I hope maybe everyone listening to this, maybe that's new information to some people, but that's what we're all about here, is getting the truth out. And that is a major truth that I hope more people learn. So, well, so we're in a system that's not honest. We're in a system that has no integrity. They print the money out of thin air. So talk about, it's right on the screen here, but the US dollar crash and hyperinflation. Tell us about inflation. Do you see inflation continuing? Is it going to get worse? And then maybe we'll talk more about what we can do later. But is inflation coming more, or is it about done?
Well, this is what you have to understand, right? This is a warm up, right? Everything, when the dollar crashes, prices of a lot of things are going to go up a lot. That's sort of hyperinflation. Things are going to get much more pricey, particularly food. So food will be available, I believe. My best guess is food will be available. The problem is it's going to be very, very expensive. So those who didn't prepare financially, those who have no precious metals, right? Then it will become expensive. See, expensive is a relative term in anyone's head, right? It's just like something, $100 can be expensive to somebody, or $100 can be like chump change for another person. You see what I'm saying? It's a relative term,
Sure.
right? So it depends on where your financial situation is. If silver's $25 an ounce, right, it would take 4 ounces of silver just to get to $100. But on the other end of it, if silver is $1,000 an ounce, $100 becomes nothing. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so it's a tenth of it'll be a tenth of your ounce of silver. So the point being is that those that have prepared with precious metals, God's money, gold and silver, as bad as hyperinflation may become, it won't touch. It will not even. I don't think it's going to affect you in one bit if you've prepared financially with particularly silver and gold, because as much as food might go up, silver is going to multiply and multiply and multiply, keep going higher and higher. So the prices are going to be astronomical for silver and gold too, but silver especially into the future, that it doesn't matter, you know, if food prices went up threefold or four or fivefold, okay, you know, silver went up 100-fold. You see what I'm saying? So all of it becomes kind of it's not going to, hyperinflation will not affect those who prepared. I guess that's the best way of saying it.
Okay, that's great. And we'll, Bo, I want to save it for the end to talk about how to prepare and maybe how and when to buy silver and how and when to buy cryptos. I want to make sure I don't forget to go to this chart right here, because this is a key chart. So bringing everything together, the world events, everything that's happening on the world stage, the cryptos, the silver, it all is going to happen. And I'll let you say it. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's all going to happen kind of at the same time. And we are in absolute crunch time. This is the last trimester that you were talking about earlier. This is slide 29. If people are following along with the slides as they listen to this, this is really critical. Can you kind of start from the beginning? And I know we've covered this in prior interviews, but we are in this blue area down at the bottom. Can you tell me just real briefly where we started, how it all started, what we saw last year as the tipping point, because that was big, and then where we're at in crunch time and what to look forward to in the future?
Sure. So you're right. This is a very important chart. So let's go through the steps here. But basically, May 26, if you listen to prior presentations, a very critical date in the heavens. Okay. So that was very, very powerful. May 26th of 2021 last year. Now we go up to the first blue arrow. That first blue arrow is August 15th of 2021. That is the precise 50th date, or 50 years to the day, of when Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. On that precise date was the Fall of Kabul. Now, you recall, we spoke, our interviews last July, maybe even June, we were saying that August 15th is a very important date. And then after that is August 24th will be tipping point. And after that will be September 6th, which is Rosh Hashanah. So that's all three of those arrows, the blue and the white August 24th, and the green first green arrow at the very top of the screen there. And what did we find out? All three of those days were historic, extremely important. Okay. So the first was the Fall of Kabul. It was at Afghanistan, right? So they abandoned the billions of dollars they just left. They left in Kabul. And all the people that left there, what is crazy, right? But that happened on the precise day. 9 days later, Saudi Arabia is like, wait a second, we're like 1,000 miles away, and the United States just abandoned Kabul. Well, we have like oil reserves, huge cities here. Like we need some protection. So on August 24th, to the exact day, they signed a military contract with Russia. Why would Saudi Arabia have done that? They don't need a contract with Russia. They have one with the United States, unless secretly they abandon the contract because they feel threatened that United States is not going to honor the agreement. So therefore they signed a contract with Russia. And then that takes us into September 6th. And on that precise day was the Lehman Brothers, but that ties in with the China Evergrande bond debacle. Okay, so that was an event that happened, but we haven't seen the full effects of it yet. But that happened precisely on that date of September 6th. So all of these things are piling in together, all relating to the dollar. Okay, now remember in August 24th, I said something, go straight opposite, straight down, be upside down. So August 24th, February 24th was the exact day Russia and Ukraine, the shots started on that exact day. Okay, so
it's all tied together.
It's all tying together, and then just a few days later, I think it was like, or somewhere here in March, or like March 19th or something, or like this month, I think, in the middle of the month, they take Russia off the SWIFT system. You see how these events are just like coming together for a major epic event. So now you've got Russia off the SWIFT system.
Well, I'll put a pause on that because people may not know what that is, but that is really, really big. The SWIFT system is how countries send money back and forth between them. And if you get cut off of, and that is the only system on the globe where countries send money back and forth. You're not mailing gold bars back and forth to other countries. This is the settlement of record. And so if you get cut off from that, you're suddenly out of the entire financial system. So you have a couple choices. You either just give up and realize you're cut off, and it'd be like going to the store and you have money, but your credit card doesn't work because you're not in the system and you can't buy groceries. Or you say, I'm going to start trading with something else. And so that's why this is so important, right? I'll let you explain more, but that is a really, really big thing if you don't know what the SWIFT system is.
Exactly. So you can't send money to Russia. Russia can't pay for things. It's a huge problem. And so Russia, they're a superpower. They're just not going to lay down and say, oh, okay, that's fine. No, they're a superpower. That ain't going to fly. So Russia's going to find alternate means. Okay. So this is where it's starting to get really interesting. Russia just recently, I think this week, spoke about settling their or paying for their oil in gold. Okay. So these words are coming out now, because this is all tied in with the fall of Babylon. And so Babylon, every time there's ever been anything related to someone trying to sell oil in ruble in gold or a dinar, right? Immediately, the U.S. goes in and attacks them and says something. But it's always been a war that breaks up. So now we have a huge problem here, right? We've got Russia, which has a contract with Saudi Arabia. Russia was just taken off the SWIFT system, okay? China hates the United States, okay? So you've got basically the BRICS nations about to come together. The BRICS nations are going to work on destroying the financial system of Babylon. And so we're getting into some really historic times. We're just passing March 24th right now. We're in the 29th now. We're about to step into April. And then we're stepping into the end of Passover. So we are, less than probably in 90 days before we get back into May here for a completionary event or a birth, right? So we talked, if you go just a couple of pages down, you'll see the birth cycle, right? The birth cycle starts on God's calendar. The first day is September 6th. September 6th is Rosh Hashanah. And then if you run 9 months, that takes you from May 5th all the way to June 6th is the birth of the new era. Matthew 24 speaks of wars and rumors of wars, but fear not, these are only the start of birth pains. So this Matthew 24 talks about what's about to happen is the birth. So if you go back to page 29, you'll see that we're at a very important time point here as we're heading into Passover. April 24th. So again, February 24th, April 24th. Oh, interesting, right? But April 24th leaves us only 1 month to go. And if you go to page 33, you'll see the calculations I ran here. So you've got Passover ends on April 23rd. That means April 23rd, 24th is when the angel of death showed up to kill all the firstborn of Egypt. That would equate, again, to this April 24th time window here. So that is a calculated time point for the angel of death to show up in Washington on these people. It took 20 or I think 25 days for them to get to the Red Sea. That takes us into May 14th to the 21st time window. Amanda Grace, when I was in Ohio, I was listening to her, and she spoke, and when God, spoke through her, he's basically said, this is an incredible word, but it was, if pharaohs of this world want a show they shall receive. The first strike, meaning God's first strike, my first strike will come in April. It doesn't matter what anybody does or says. All that matters, Noah, is God and his plans. Because as much as they plan, everything will change in a heartbeat when God moves. Okay. So the first strike comes in April, which lines up with what I was describing earlier on page 33 with relation to the Red Sea. No, not the Red Sea, would be the angel of death time point as Passover ends.
Yeah.
So as Passover ends. So excuse me. So that literally is lining up to this blue arrow that we're seeing here, the last blue arrow, and then that takes us up into May, somewhere about May 14th through the 21st, through June 6th. I'm telling you, we ain't seen anything yet. If you want to scroll to the latter pages there, go lower, lower, keep going down, keep going, we'll go more, more, more. There's a time, keep going. If you a little more yet, a little more, right there. So if you go to page 39, so there's numerous reasons, but there's 10 reasons based on calculations why the time point between May 14th and June 6th, which is actually 666, if you do the math on it, it's interesting, how those are very historic. That's a very powerful historic calculation with regard to time. So we'll see what transpires in terms of events, but I'm telling you, the page above that, or as a page 37 is very beautiful how it describes what these people, these are the Egyptians, going back to what I talked about with the Statue of Liberty. Okay. These are the present day Egyptians. They're finished.
Right.
They're finished. God has spoken. These people are finished. He's spoken through the prophets. And Moses said to the people, "Fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today." For the present day Egyptians, who you're looking at right there, who you see today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you. I tell you, there's the probability of seeing these people by the end of the year, I think will be zero. Because basically,
wow.
Because when Trump returns, these people ultimately, the military, they're going to get involved. We're going to see, when the military gets involved, you're talking tribunals and executions. So I don't know how this all plays out. And also the angel of death is going to show up. So how is that going to play out? But I'm telling you, this year is going to be historic as we started this presentation out. People will be writing about the year 2022 because the events were so historic, were so biblical.
Wow, incredible. So, Bo, I want to go back to this page 29, slide 29. So you've been saying for a while, this blue arc here, the final trimester is crunch time, and we're already halfway through that blue arc. So everything is condensing, and then if you go to this chart on 37, was it 39? We go to 39. I just want to get this stuff down. You've got your dates there, and they're all lining up. Different formulas, different things different cycles that you're looking at. They all keep hitting some of these same dates. So we're looking at April 24th. That's Passover. That's an important date from the chart up above. Then on this page, May 14th is on there 4 times. That's a really big one. The May 14th to June 6th window is just loaded. You've got May 21st on there. You've got June 3rd and June 6th. And that June 6th you said was actually 666. If you look at June as the 6th month, the 6th day, and then you add up 2022, you get 666. That's not good, but that's in there. June 6th is by several calculations of yours a really big date. So everything's condensing, everything's coming down. You're on record here before it happens. We're recording this. I should have said this at the beginning. We're recording this on March 29th of 2022. And all of this is still in the future. And Bo, I think it's going to be absolutely historic to live through and to watch. And then we're going to look back on it. And I just love that you have all of this stuff in here ahead of time. So that's our cycle. That's the window we're looking at. Bo's been talking about this window for a long time. That protractor has been in our presentations been in Bo's presentations for over a year. That has not changed. It's been there, and now we're coming into the final part of it. So really incredible. There's so much in here, Bo, that we just can't even get to, but I do love this slide on page 37. Just some really evil faces on this slide, and it's time for see some justice brought to the world. So we're happy to see that. I think that takes us now into, I want to maybe end with Bitcoin and silver. I shouldn't say I should say cryptocurrency, because now the question is, okay, we're in crunch time. Is it too late? Did I miss the boat? Is it too late to buy anything? And I think you're saying no. I want to let you explain it for yourself, but we are in, not only are those critical dates for the world, those dates we just looked at, but actually cryptocurrencies have some earlier dates. I think I'll let you tell us, Bo, but I think you're seeing some really big moves coming very, very soon for cryptocurrencies. So I know you can't share everything because you do have a newsletter that's a paid service that you run. So we want to be fair to those people that are pay for that and that are members of that. But you always are gracious enough to give us some sneak peeks. So if you would, tell us what you can about where we are and what crypto might be doing next.
Right. So cryptocurrencies, like you have to, when the dollar falls, it's energy. So things have to flip. So this is the overturning of the money tables. Okay. So this is going to be very interesting, exciting to see how this plays out here very, very shortly. On that chart right there, I updated the Bitcoin chart, but basically what you're seeing is Bitcoin's, it had a nice run up in 2020. And then it's been kind of stuck going up and down sideways, and it's called a channel. You can see that channel that I drew out. Presently, it's trading around just over 47,000. And when that channel breaks, it's going to aggressively run to 100,000 plus. Okay, so that's still coming, and don't count that out because it's coming. It's going to happen still. It's just that they're trying to hold the price down. So you're seeing this, it's trading within the channel right now, but 100,000 is coming quite easily. The exciting part about Bitcoin itself, and when I say Bitcoin, I mean the cryptocurrencies as a space and in general, they're going to be the new monetary system, because when the dollar falls, think about what's happening with Russia right now. They need to settle contracts. They need to pay people, right? It's very easily done with Bitcoin. So people are smart. They find alternate means to take care of financial businesses, okay, or financial issues. So what's about to happen is the new digital money. I've been writing this, you can see the currency. We've always talked, it's the new digital money. And the reason being is because nations are going to need to settle debt or pay for bills. And so this is how it's going to be happening, is with the cryptocurrencies. So we can tie that into cycles, but we've known I know you get our newsletter, people who've been reading our newsletter for a long time, have seen the patterns play out. It's rather incredible to actually see these patterns. You write about them, weeks and months in advance, and then you watch it play out. It's kind of crazy, but you've seen it happen, right? So, the critical date for Bitcoin was January 24th, and if this is, I clipped this out, I think it's from our last interview I have left on here, based on January 24th, for those interested in Bitcoin, what do we write on January 24th? On that date, this morning completes the final drop, washout low that ends the mini bear market that began in November of 2021, within a secular bull market that began in December of 2018. The bull market resumes today into tomorrow, with the first strong vertical jump beginning on or about February 4th, 5th, and then followed by a historic price explosion beginning, and then I covered that out, okay? So go up to the next page and you'll see what happened, right? You'll actually see this play out. If you scroll to the next page, look at—
Bo, I want to make sure people know what they're looking at here. This is an actual screenshot from your newsletter, if people have never subscribed before. And this is the January 24th edition. You publish usually a couple updates a week, so this was the January 24th update. And if you, all these archives are on your system. So if people decide they want to join and they want to start getting this, you can go back and check. This is in there. Bo's not making this up. This is what he published on January 24th. The archives are all in his system, and you've got multiple year archives in there that people can read. But you said that what's the date there? It was going to be the final low. And then, so I just wanted people to understand that. And then now you have this chart here that really shows. So tell them what they're seeing. You told them what was going to happen. That was the screenshot. And then here's the actual chart, how it played out.
Right. So if you look in the pink, in the bottom, the pink is on the pink chart. The pink chart is a private cycle that, it's a private cycle that that I know where to look historically. And then the top chart is present day or 2022 Bitcoin price movement. And you'll notice, look at if you compare the bottom chart, which it was supposed to do, and the top chart, which is actually happening, you'll see that this is incredible, Noah. Like, you look A, B, C, D, E on the left side to the exact day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so then what I write on January 24th, that was E. And lo and behold, Bitcoin bottomed at 33,000 and then turned up and started going up. It went up into 0.1. It turned at 0.1 and it bottomed at 2. And then what did I say? Read the page 1. It says on February 4th through 5th, the next up leg is supposed to begin. Look what happened on February 4th. It turned up on February 4th to the exact point at 0.2. And then it kept running all the way into 0.3. It ran all the way into 0.3. So, and then it dropped from 0.3 to 0.4 to the exact, Noah, to the exact day. This is like, you'll notice the patterns. It's if you, in between, it can vary a little bit, but the cycle ends and the bottom, the highs and the lows are like perfect turns to the precise day. It's crazy. So look at 1, 2, 3, 4 to the precise mark. Not even off by 24 hours. This goes back all the way to January or November of last year. This is how crazy the cycle pattern is that we're following. And then look what happened. Just 2 days ago, we were saying, it's got to break through 45,000. And look what happened. Just busted through 45,000 just a couple days ago. And now, what, if you do the math, do the count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. What comes next? 5. So next is a price explosion into 5. So we've got the cycle time point in our chart. So we've got the date of when that's supposed to play out. So at that time point, I'm considering actually lightening up on my, doing some movement because I believe there's going to be a very strong move coming up here. I know it's going to be a very sizable move that's about to happen. This sizable move, I'm personally going to capitalize on this, and I'm going to be buying some more silver. So there's a very exciting move coming in here very, very shortly as we head into 0.5. And that will be my flip point where I'm going to lighten up, move some things around. And definitely I want to be buying one last big bunch of silver at that cycle time point, because I know what's coming shortly thereafter for silver and gold, because that's going to be historic. So it's cool to watch these cycles play out. You get the reports, Noah. What do you want to add to this? Because I find it fascinating that you look at this and you've seen it. We've drawn this out. The chart has been sitting since January. I've shown our readers this, and look at it play out. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, I love getting your updates. Whenever I see them pop into my inbox, I usually, unless there's something really big going on, I usually stop what I'm doing and I go read your update, because I want to know what's coming next. And they're just fun to read. You write them in a way that you don't have to be a financial person to understand them. I'm not. I don't know charts. If you don't understand these charts and charting and all that stuff, you don't have to. Candlesticks and all of that. Bo explains it in a way that makes sense and you can easily understand. But I really like following it. Where you've got your blue arrow there. I want to make sure again that I say that sometimes these interviews get posted and people don't know what's going on. It's March 29th as we're recording this, and Bitcoin is sitting at 47,400 if I'm looking at current chart. And you've got exactly that in your blue arrow there. And,
yeah, actually,
and it's
that
just
chart. That chart you're looking at there, I actually just took it out of our report today, and I stuck it in there. But I covered the black part up because I just got to keep it private for the subscribers. But that's actually from today. So. Perfect.
So if people want to know, I was telling somebody just the other day, I said, the hard part for crypto or for gold and silver, really, or stock market, the hard part is not buying the thing and then sitting and waiting. The hard part is knowing when to sell it. And that's what you were just talking about. You can buy it and hold it, and it can kind of be slow waiting sometimes. But if you don't know the right time to sell, you're going to miss out. You might ride that full roller coaster and go up the hill and down the hill and lose out. So I think that's what you're talking about. There are some big movements coming, and you're going to cover those. And you tell people when you're, like you just said, when you're lightening up on something, or maybe you're shifting from crypto into silver. I really like how you give that type of advice and explanation and let people know what you're doing. I should say this too. I think we say this every time. We should. You're not a financial advisor by trade. You're a time cycle analyst. You analyze the cycles, and then you just tell people what you're doing. You tell people what makes sense to you and what you're seeing, and I really like that. So if people want to get your report, I think you've got a little snippet of it here, but you have to go all the way down. Let me just take them so I don't forget to show people this, because you've got a nice discount in here. Go all the way to the end of the report, go to slide 131, and you can get Bo's report if you want it. If you want to know what he sees coming, the sell dates and that type of stuff, you go to gold2020forecast.com. That's Bo's website. And as always, he gives you a 50% off discount for if you're listening to this report. You get that code. So you put in the code WLT49, going to give you 50% off at the cost, and it's going to give you a 14-day trial. So like I said, I always tell people, get in there and go look at look at the most current one. That's the fun one to read, but go look at his old stuff and you're going to see it matches up to that chart, just like he just showed you. It's all in there. Bo doesn't delete anything out of there. He doesn't hide anything. His full history going back several years is in there. And I think that's a lot of fun to look at. But if you want to get this, the code, it's only up for a little bit of time. So if you want to get it, try it now. And then Bo always says, if you don't like it, if it's not for you, you can cancel. And he does these interviews and he puts out his slides and they're all free. So if that's all you're interested in, I always love, Bo, that you always tell people, just do that, or just buy Bitcoin or just buy silver. If you don't want the extra info, don't do it. But for the people that do, Bo's always courteous enough to give you a discount. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Bo, but I always do like to say thank you for the discount and thank you for getting people involved.
No, I agree with you. The easiest way to get involved this is what's coming as the greatest financial event. Seriously, the greatest. Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. This is going to be the greatest financial event in human history. This will be the third seal event, the rebalancing of the financial system. So if you want to be involved in it, you only need to really hold God's money, gold and silver. Okay. My absolute favorite is silver, just because of how it's been manipulated more than gold. Cryptocurrencies, I think, are an incredible. They're going to be directly involved in the wealth transfer too, because the world is worldwide, meaning that there's countries and communications. It's hard to send Russia a piece of gold when you can click a button and send them half a Bitcoin or a quarter Bitcoin to pay for something. So, or a cryptocurrency. So the new financial system is going to be directly related to three things: gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. So those of that are interested, involved, and want to be involved in cryptocurrencies, or know about it and want to know the cycles. Our cycles, as you've seen, I'm showing you today's report. It's incredible to watch this stuff play out. The accuracy is incredible. So if you're interested, you get the Bitcoin index if that's of interest to you, the cryptocurrencies, the cycles. Otherwise, if you don't understand crypto, just get it. But I don't want to miss the greatest wealthy financial event in human history. So I'm involved, personally. So then I can, those involved will be blessed, as my friend Manuel says, you'll be blessed so then you can be a blessing to those around you. And Matthew states very clearly, blessing 30, 60, 100 fold. So we're going to see historic price moves very soon. So
that's great.
That's what I can say on that. So God bless you for having me on and going through all this.
Well, thank you, Bo. I always I've got a couple that are near and dear to my heart, and I know they're kind of loved and hated, but I am a fan of XRP, and I know you've got that. That logo is on your screen right there on slide 131. Selfishly, question for me, and any sneak peek you can give on that one? They're in a lawsuit. Do you see anything big coming for that coin that you can share without sharing too much from your subscribers?
Same thing I've said before. I've talked about possible price targets for it. We cover that in our report. It's a good coin. I think it's I have some. I consider it a tradable coin. When it jumps, I'm going to get out of it and buy some more silver if possible. But I nothing wrong with that coin. It's a good coin. It's just not one of my favorites. But is it going to jump aggressively? Probably. I think so. Yeah. So I definitely I've got a nice position. I'm just waiting. And so I like that coin. I think it's a great coin, and nothing bad to say about it. I just, long term, I think there's other coins that I personally prefer, but it's a great, I think it's a very smart, people. Manuel Johnson, has saw some big numbers for that coin as well too. So
really, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, oh, yeah, wow. He saw Manuel Johnson saw XRP on us when he was taken to the future, and I don't know the numbers, but I think it was pretty nice. That's the numbers he had on XRP.
Well, that is news to me. I had not heard that. Wow. Well, and you've got a couple other ones here, and then we'll have to wrap this up, and people can just read more for themselves if they want to get it. But you've got a couple other ones too that what I think is so exciting, and I'm not going to give all the details of what they are, but you've got all the logos on the screen there, and there's some other coins that you don't even have logo on the screen, but that you cover in your report. But you've got some that are like XRP is under $1 right now. That's a lot easier to buy than Bitcoin. That's $47,000, and you can buy fractions of these things, but it's more fun to own more than just a fraction. It's fun to own multiple ones. But you've got some that are under 10 cents, some that are currently under 5 cents, and you've got targets on those that I'm not going to say what they are, but they would be multiple hundreds of a percent gain based on your targets. So imagine buying something under 5 cents and maybe it goes over $1, maybe $2. You've got some of these coins in your report, and I started buying some of those based on your report, and I'm just letting them sit there and wait. But I get really excited about some of those.
Yeah, it's fun because some of the coins you buy at their very low price, they have a bunch of zeros in front of them, a handful of zeros in front of them. You don't need to buy a bunch of those coins, but you can spend, put $1,000 an example into them, right? So you own $1,000, but let's say the coin goes up 10x, then that $1,000 becomes worth, it would become worth 10,000, right? If it went up if it dropped 2 zeros, that's a 100x move. So that 1,000 becomes worth $100,000. So I know these numbers sound kind of crazy, but some coins have done that already. Okay. So
they've done it.
Yes, they've done this. So it's that which has been will be again. And we haven't even seen the great wealth transfer yet. So crazy numbers are coming. That's all I'm telling you, so, as exciting as precious metals are to own, they are the ultimate money. Okay. So cryptocurrencies are not the ultimate money. Okay. But for the next few years, I think it's, they're going to be directly involved, in this wealth, with wealth transition here. The problem is that those people, who are completely dedicated to cryptocurrencies and poo-pooing precious metals. The problem with that is you may not be able to get precious metals in the future. So that's the big problem. When these prices get big, no one's going to want to sell, and you'll be able to buy cryptocurrencies in the future, but you're not going to be able to get probably precious metals. That's my take on that. So you're going to miss the boat because no one's going to want to sell. And if you are going to sell, you'll be paying exorbitant premiums just to get the metal. So it's bad enough right now the spreads are getting bigger and bigger between what the spot price is and what you actually have to pay to get it in your hand. And when gold and silver start to explode, the spread's going to keep expanding. So silver might be, let's say, $700 an ounce, but it might cost you $100, maybe $150 just to get it in your hand.
Wow.
And that's if somebody wants to sell it to you. So it's just really important, to just. I hope our viewers or your viewers and those people that are listening to us speak, Noah, I hope they are listening. I hope they're taking notes, and it's like you listen and they're hearing at the same time too. And I hope they're active. Really hope that they got involved in this. I hope they paid attention. So that's the best I can say. And I just I just know that we're so close at this point in time. That's all I can add.
Well, it's not too late. There's still, we are in that final part of the blue area on your map. And that's why I think we're going to have a lot of fun interviews in the future, Bo, looking back and talking about the things that happened and connecting those dots in reverse. And those will be fun interviews too, but it's not too late if you're not involved if you don't have any silver or precious metals, if you don't have any cryptocurrency and you want some, it's not too late. You can start now. If you haven't started preparing for some of these world events, it's not too late. You can start now. That's Bo's constant message. He's been telling you that for a couple of years, and he wants everyone to be prepared. And preparation, it's what you talk a lot about preparing with gold and silver. You talk a lot about preparing with food and water, but you always have a more eternal perspective too. And I like when you end the interview and you kind of give that type of final comment. So do you want to wrap it up for us and tell us the even bigger picture for preparation and where do you want to leave people today?
You know, the most important thing to finish up is, as crazy as the world is about to get, and it's because we haven't seen crazy yet. It's gonna get, things are gonna go wild. I don't know what's coming. Just know that God is in complete control. God has been playing chess against all these people who think they are so smart, and they're actually doing nothing but playing checkers. Everything is in God's control. There is nothing to fear. When you go to study Exodus, stand firm and watch the salvation of the Lord, for he will work for us today. I don't know what else to say except I'm not budging. I am not budging on my position on what's coming to this world. I know that God's in control. I know in my heart God wins. I know that this year is going to be historic. And those who are listening, I truly hope that they've prepared and they're awake. And most importantly is just, don't stop praying. And when the crazy happens, just pray and say, thank you, God, for getting involved, for saving, for stopping these people, for saving America, because he's going to intervene and we're going to have some really wonderful times that begin this year. It's going to be really amazing, but it's really important to be prepared.
That's so good. Bo, thank you for that. That's why we love having you on the show, to bring that kind of a message, and any part we can play in helping you get your message out like that, we're really happy to do it. So thank you for your time. Look below this interview, a bunch of links, grab Bo's slides, grab his presentations, links to his website are below this. Bo, thank you for coming on, and I am sure we will see you again soon.
Absolutely. God bless you. Thank you.